Hundreds of thousands of years ago, humanity faced a silent catastrophe that nearly erased our kind from existence. For over 100,000 years, only the strongest, fastest, and most adaptable survived a relentless trial that forged the ancestors whose blood still runs through our veins today. This was not a world of weakness or luck. It was a world where strength meant survival, where every heartbeat was a test, and every sunrise a battle won. Yet, when most people picture ancient humans, they imagine stooped, primitive figures covered in dirt and fear. But new science tells a different story. Our prehistoric cousins, the Neanderthals, were not the clumsy brutes of old textbooks. They were powerful athletes of nature, shaped by a harsh climate, fierce predators, and the constant need to endure. Their bodies were machines of muscle and instinct, capable of explosive speed, immense strength, and precision. Their genes carried the code of survival itself. Recent genetic discoveries have shattered long-held myths about evolution, revealing that the Neanderthal genome contained far more variants linked to power and speed than those of modern humans. These findings suggest that our ancient relatives might have rivaled, or even surpassed, today's elite sprinters and powerlifters. But this story is not just about them. It's about us, their descendants, the inheritors of their endurance, their courage, and their fire. Every breath we take, every race we run, every challenge we face, echoes the ancient trial that once shaped the human soul. In this journey, we'll uncover the truth behind their strength, their genes, their world, and what their legacy still means for humanity today. Because the story of the Neanderthals is, in many ways, the story of ourselves. When scientists look deep into the genetic code of our ancient relatives, they uncover something extraordinary. Hidden within the strands of Neanderthal DNA are clues to a kind of physical power that modern humans can scarcely imagine. These were not weak or frail beings wandering through the Ice Age. They were the ultimate survivors of evolution's harshest test bodies, built for strength, speed, and raw endurance. During a period known as the population bottleneck, humanity nearly disappeared. Only a small group endured, carrying with them the most adaptive genes ever selected by nature. Those survivors passed down traits that shaped the way our muscles form, how our lungs breathe, and how our hearts respond to stress. The Neanderthals, born from this crucible, became the living expression of survival itself. Their bones tell the story of that strength. Thick and dense, they could withstand enormous pressure. The muscle attachment points along their arms, shoulders, and legs were far more pronounced than those of modern humans, showing that every movement required and produced immense power. Their rib cage was wide and bell-shaped, allowing lungs to expand deeply, pumping oxygen through their bodies like a natural engine. Combined with a shorter, broader frame and a lower center of gravity, this design gave them perfect balance and explosive movement. They were built to move with purpose, to fight, to hunt, and to endure. Recent genetic analysis supports what their bones already suggest. In the Neanderthal genome, scientists have identified at least 39 gene variants linked to modern power and sprint athletes. These are the same genetic markers that help Olympic lifters generate short bursts of energy and sprinters explode from the starting line. Modern humans, by contrast, show a stronger tendency toward endurance marathon runners rather than sprinters. The evidence reveals that the Neanderthals' strength was not random. It was written into their very DNA. Yet, evolution is never simple. Some of the genetic legacies passed down from Neanderthals come with paradoxes. One such gene, AMPD1, affects how muscles process energy. In its ancient form, it may have helped Neanderthals perform bursts of intense power, but in modern humans, it can sometimes limit high-level athletic performance. This contradiction reminds us that evolution is a balance, not a race. What once offered survival in the wild may not serve us in a world of comfort and technology. Even their hormones tell part of the story. Neanderthals carried a unique androgenic profile, an elevated level of male hormones that contributed to greater muscle density and faster recovery. This hormonal intensity, combined with their lifestyle, produced physiques that were not just strong, but explosive. If you could stand beside a Neanderthal, you would see not a lumbering caveman, but a figure with massive shoulders, broad chest, and powerful limbs, a natural athlete sculpted by survival. Their strength was their shield, their speed their weapon. Through their DNA, we can trace the blueprint of resilience itself. The genes that made them powerful still whisper in us today, faint but enduring echoes of the ancient power that once ruled the Ice Age. To understand the true power of the Neanderthals, we must look beyond their genes and into the world that shaped them. Their strength did not come from laboratories or training fields. It was born in a brutal, beautiful environment where survival demanded constant motion and unyielding will. The Neanderthal world was one of dense forests, steep valleys, and freezing winds. Unlike the open savannas where early Homo sapiens chased prey for miles, Neanderthals lived in thick woodlands filled with shadows and danger. Every hunt was an ambush, every meal a battle. This environment shaped their bodies and minds into perfect instruments for short bursts of violent energy. They didn't chase their prey across the plains, they waited, hidden among the trees, striking with incredible speed when the moment came. It was hunting by instinct and muscle memory, not by distance and patience. Their diet reflected this lifestyle. Stable isotope studies of their bones reveal that Neanderthals consumed enormous amounts of red meat and bone marrow, sometimes almost entirely carnivorous. Mammoth, bison, woolly rhino, these were not easy meals. Dragging the carcass of a 1,000-pound beast through mountain terrain required a kind of strength that few modern humans could imagine. In some caves, archaeologists found wear patterns on bones, suggesting that Neanderthals carried loads exceeding 100 pounds for miles. Their daily existence was a workout written by nature itself. This constant physical struggle built not just their muscles, but their teamwork. Hunting such massive creatures demanded coordination, trust, and courage. They likely hunted face to face with their prey, driving heavy spears into flesh at point-blank range. That kind of combat required not only brute force, but quick reflexes, precision, and absolute fearlessness. Every successful hunt meant survival for the group, and every failure risked starvation or death. Modern research calls this the woodland hypothesis, suggesting that Neanderthal anatomy evolved not merely to survive cold climates, but to master wooded environments. Their shorter limbs and heavier builds made them more stable in rough terrain, while their rapid acceleration and muscle power gave them the upper hand in close encounters. They were not long-distance runners. They were sprinters, hunters of moments, not miles. The forest forged them into creatures of instinct and power. While Homo sapiens learned endurance under the open sun, Neanderthals became masters of strength beneath the forest canopy. Their world demanded bursts of courage and motion, and they rose to meet it with a body and spirit honed for survival. For generations, scientists have tried to answer one enduring question: why were the Neanderthals built so differently from us? Their thick bones, broad torsos, and powerful limbs seem to tell a story of purpose, but the reason behind that design has sparked decades of debate. Two main theories have emerged from this puzzle, one rooted in climate, the other in environment, and together they reveal how nature shaped these ancient athletes of survival. The first theory, long accepted, is known as the cold adaptation hypothesis. It argues that Neanderthals developed short limbs, large chests, and wide noses as a biological response to freezing ice age temperatures. A compact body conserves heat, while a large nasal cavity warms and humidifies the air before it reaches the lungs. This explanation paints the Neanderthals as products of cold resistance, molded by glaciers and snow. And while there is truth in this, the evidence no longer ends there. Recent discoveries have challenged this view with a new idea, the woodland hypothesis. Paleoecological studies show that many Neanderthal sites were not frozen wastelands, but forested valleys rich with game and vegetation. In these dense landscapes, success in hunting depended not on running marathons across open plains, but on acceleration, strength, and explosive bursts of speed. Under this lens, their muscular bodies make perfect sense. They were built for ambush, not endurance. Genetic analysis supports this shift in thinking. Neanderthal DNA contains more power-associated variants than that of modern humans, meaning their biology favored short, powerful movements over long-distance stamina. Anatomical evidence aligns perfectly. Thicker bones for shock absorption, broader pelvises for stability, and shorter limbs for leverage. These adaptations created a creature capable of incredible force at close range, a living engine of muscle and momentum. But perhaps the most striking evidence comes not from genes, but from injuries. The fracture patterns found on Neanderthal skeletons mirror those seen in modern rodeo riders, individuals who engage in close contact with large, struggling animals. This tells us that Neanderthals likely hunted in physical confrontation, not from afar. They didn't rely on bows or thrown spears. They fought their prey up close. Their bodies bear the scars of bravery. Still, strength alone does not define evolution. Homo sapiens took a different path: leaner bodies, longer limbs, lighter frames, and minds sharpened for innovation. Our ancestors used endurance and intelligence as their weapons, developing projectile tools that allowed them to hunt from a distance, conserving energy while reducing risk. This divergence marks one of the most fascinating splits in human history: power versus endurance, muscle versus mind. And yet, both approaches were brilliant in their own way. The Neanderthals mastered physical power, the sapiens mastered adaptability. Each species reflected a unique solution to the same problem: how to survive in a hostile world. Modern genetics confirms that we share a small but significant portion of Neanderthal DNA, proof that these two lineages once met, fought, and even loved. Their strength became part of our story. Their genes a silent legacy within us. In understanding their bodies, we understand something deeper about evolution itself. Nature doesn't simply reward the strongest or the smartest. It rewards balance, adaptation, and the endless drive to endure. When the Neanderthals finally vanished from the earth around 40,000 years ago, they didn't truly disappear. They left something behind, an invisible inheritance that still lives in us. Modern genetic studies have revealed that between 1 and 2% of the DNA in most people of Eurasian descent comes directly from Neanderthals. Those fragments are more than scientific curiosities. They are whispers from our ancient past, reminders that we are not entirely separate from those who came before us. These genetic traces influence us in ways both subtle and profound. Some of their genes help regulate our immune systems, giving us the ability to fight infections more effectively. Others shape our bones, our skin, even our metabolism. They have been linked to how we respond to sunlight, how we process fat, and how we recover from injury. In a sense, the Neanderthals continue to protect us, their biology still lending strength to our modern bodies. But these gifts come with complexity. A few of their genetic variants are associated with inflammatory diseases, depression, and even nicotine addiction, proof that evolution is never perfect, only practical. When we look at this mixture of benefits and burdens, we see something remarkable. It's not just a record of survival, it's a story of connection. Homo sapiens and Neanderthals didn't exist as rivals forever. There were moments of encounter, cooperation, and even love. They shared firelight, exchanged tools, and raised children together. Out of that mingling came the hybrid spark that shaped who we are. The endurance of sapiens merged with the power of Neanderthals to produce a new kind of human, balanced between strength and intellect, built to adapt in every direction. Their legacy extends beyond our biology. It lives in our instincts, our drive to overcome, our yearning to explore. The same courage that sent Neanderthals charging at mammoths now propels astronauts toward the stars. The same endurance that kept our ancestors alive in glacial nights still pushes athletes, artists, and dreamers to go further than reason says they should. We are, in a way, the continuation of both their triumph and their tragedy. When you feel the fire of competition, the need to protect, or the determination to rise after failure, you are hearing echoes of the Ice Age, echoes of them. Their strength was not wasted in extinction. It was passed forward through time, carried in the rhythm of our hearts and the code of our cells. Understanding this shared heritage changes how we see humanity. It reminds us that progress is not a straight line from primitive to advanced, but a tapestry of resilience woven by countless hands. The Neanderthals were not our opposite. They were our mirror in another form, and through them, we inherit more than muscle. We inherit the will to survive, to evolve, and to dream. In their extinction, they gave us endurance. In their struggle, they gave us wisdom. And in their blood, still flowing quietly within ours, they left us the most timeless gift of all, the proof that strength and compassion can coexist, and that together they define what it truly means to be human. From the frozen plains of prehistory to the bustling cities of today, the story of humanity has always been one of endurance, adaptation, and transformation. The Neanderthals remind us that strength is more than muscle, and evolution is more than survival. They were shaped by fire and ice, by hunger and courage, by the endless rhythm of trial and triumph. In their rise and fall, we can see the outline of ourselves, our fears, our resilience, our capacity to change. Their genes may now be scattered like dust among our own, but their legacy is anything but faint. It lives in every heartbeat that pushes against limits, in every hand that builds, and in every mind that refuses to surrender. When we push through exhaustion, when we face adversity and still choose to rise, we carry forward the same flame that burned in them. The strength of the Neanderthal was not lost, it evolved. It became the quiet determination that defines what it means to be human. Modern science has given us the ability to trace that flame through DNA, through bones, through the remnants of camps long buried. But its true meaning goes beyond genetics. It lies in our choices, in the way we treat one another, in the stories we tell to remember where we came from. Because understanding our ancient cousins is not just about studying the past, it's about recognizing the shared spirit that connects every generation of humankind. So when you look at the stars, or run until your lungs burn, or feel the strength to keep going when life seems impossible, remember this: you are the echo of thousands of generations who refuse to give up. You are the living proof that survival is not just an instinct, it's a legacy. Stay curious, stay questioning, and never forget that within every one of us beats the heart of those who came before, the ancient strength that once conquered the Ice Age and still shapes the story of who we are today.